There is a truth capable of saving 90% of marriages from collapse, but most women will never accept it. They will call it sexism, a relic of the past, or simply a mistake, and will get angry just listening to it. But the fact remains, you cannot demand everything from a man while giving nothing in return and expect him to stay. You cannot treat marriage like the service industry, where you are the eternally dissatisfied customer and he is the resource provider. Until women understand that marriage is a two-way exchange, not a unilateral extraction of resources, there will be no happy families. Let me explain what this means in practice. Unrealistic modern expectations kill relationships before they even begin. Today, women want a man who earns millions but is home by 5 p.m., who is emotionally open but never shows weakness, who helps around the house but maintains a tough, masculine frame, who is romantic like a movie hero but practical like an accountant. They don't need a partner. They need a shape-shifting servant existing solely to satisfy their constantly changing whims. I had an acquaintance whose wife rolled out a list of requirements to save their marriage. 23 points. From earn more to be spontaneous, spend more time with the kids, and get a six-pack. When he asked what she would work on, she replied, "I'm here. I'm with you. Isn't that enough?" This is the modern dynamic. Her presence is already a gift. Everything else is his job. This idealized image of a partner is poison fed to us by social media. Daily, women consume content about high-value men, about how you deserve the best, and never settle for less. They see staged relationships, made-up standards, and impossible benchmarks. And then they look at their real husband tired after work, a living human being with flaws, and feel cheated. Comparison kills reality. Emotional entitlement has reached absurd levels. Many women believe their emotions are their partner's responsibility. Is she sad? He must fix it. Is she insecure? He must constantly reassure her. But try flipping the situation. When he is having a hard time, when he is stressed or exhausted suddenly, those are his problems. Emotional labor flows only one way. One man told me his wife demands 2 hours of emotional check-ins daily. 2 hours of talking about her feelings, her day, her anxieties. But when he tried to share his work stress, she claimed he was dumping negativity on her and that he needed a therapist. She wanted unlimited support without offering anything in return. This is not partnership. This is emotional vampirism. The lack of reciprocity is what actually kills a marriage. Relationships are an exchange. Time for time, effort for effort, care for care. But modern culture instills in women the idea that they deserve everything simply by virtue of existing. They don't need to earn love, respect, or desire. It is enough just to be a woman. Meanwhile, men must constantly prove their value through provision, achievements, and perfect behavior. The ubiquitous projection of superiority poisons everything. Many women see themselves as morally flawless in relationships. Any conflict is his fault. Any problem is a consequence of his inadequacy. This is not a union. This is a rehab center, where she is the chief doctor and he is the patient. I knew a couple where the woman literally could not name a single thing she does wrong. Not one. When asked about their contribution to problems, they say, "I care too much," or "I give too much." These are not flaws. This is bragging. The inability to see one's own contribution to dysfunction guarantees that the dysfunction will continue. Collapse under pressure is inevitable. When a person faces constant criticism, endless demands, and zero gratitude, he breaks. Men don't leave families because of global catastrophes. Usually, they leave because of 10,000 small cuts. Daily neglect, casual contempt, endless expectations without the slightest thank you. One fine day, they just stopped trying, because trying never changed anything. The false victim narrative has become the standard. I do everything for this family. Seriously? And who pays the mortgage? Who services the cars? Who handles investments and security? Oh, that's different. That's just money. but when she starts the washing machine, it's heroic self-sacrifice. This selective accounting, where her contribution is calculated at double the rate and his contribution is zeroed out, is simply exhausting. The wife of one client wrote posts on social media about how hard it is to be a married single mother, while he worked 70 hours a week to pay for the house, cars, private school, her yoga membership, and the nanny. But of course, she is the victim because he missed a school play. The victim narrative requires the complete erasure of his merits. Control disguised as care is manipulation. I just want you to become the best version of yourself. Translation: I want to remake you. Many women enter relationships with a plan to change the man. Not to support, not to grow together, but to rebuild him like an old house bought for demolition. And then they are shocked when he starts resisting being treated like a renovation project. The need for self-reflection is completely absent. Before blaming him for every problem, maybe it's worth looking in the mirror. Is it pleasant to come home to you? Do you express gratitude? Do you contribute equally? Do you create peace or chaos? But self-reflection requires admitting imperfection, and that threatens the narrative of one's own superiority. The hyperdiagnosis of abuse has devalued real suffering. Every boundary is now called control. Every disagreement is gaslighting. Every expectation is emotional violence. The language of real trauma is weaponized in ordinary domestic disputes. When everything around is called abuse, the very concept of abuse loses its meaning, and real victims get lost in this noise. I have seen women call their husbands abusers for asking for a financial contribution to the budget, for asking to limit contact with an ex, for expecting help around the house, or for wanting intimacy more than once a month. This is not violence. These are normal negotiations in a relationship, but the victim's stance is too convenient to give up. The erosion of empathy works both ways. When someone constantly criticizes you, demands from you, and ignores your needs, you stop caring about their needs. Empathy requires reciprocity. If it flows only one way, the riverbed dries up. This is exactly how spouses become two strangers splitting utility bills. The importance of simple gestures is completely overlooked. A dinner prepared with care, a sincere thank you, physical affection, peace when we come home. These simple things mean everything, but modern women are taught that this is maid behavior or humiliation. Therefore, men receive nothing, even though everything is expected of them. A client almost cried telling me that his wife cooked his favorite dish after months of tension. One simple gesture of care touched him more than any grand romantic act. Men are starving for elementary kindness in their own homes. The emotional invisibility of men is tragic. Men also experience depression, anxiety, fear, doubt, and exhaustion. But these feelings are inconvenient for the narrative where women are the only ones bearing the emotional burden. Therefore, male emotions are either ignored or pathologized. He's not burnt out, he's lazy. He's not depressed, he's weak. He's not lonely, he's clingy. Communication breaks down due to assumptions. She assumes he knows what she needs. He assumes she says what she thinks. She speaks in hints. He speaks directly. She wants emotional validation. He offers solutions. No one is wrong, but without understanding this difference, every conversation turns into a conflict. Example: wife says, "The house is dirty." She means, "I am overwhelmed and I need help." He hears a fact, "The house is dirty," and agrees. She gets angry that he didn't offer help. He is confused because she didn't ask. This is not communication. This is expecting telepathy. Two extremes of female behavior destroy marriages. The martyr who does everything while constantly complaining, and the controller who manages everything while respecting nothing. Both positions kill partnership. One makes herself indispensable but insufferable. The other appoints herself boss over a person who didn't apply for a job with her. Emotional literacy is needed. Learn to express needs without attacking. "I need help with dinner," not "you never do anything." Learn to accept criticism without defensiveness. Learn to disagree without destroying everything around you. But this requires admitting that you are not the ultimate truth. Equality and responsibility mean that both own the success or failure of the relationship. Not 50 inches every task, but 100% engagement from both sides. But modern culture tells women they are the prize to be won, not a partner who must contribute. This breeds a sense of permissiveness that poisons everything. The abuse of moral superiority isolates women from their husbands. When you place yourself above your partner, closeness is impossible. Intimacy requires equality, vulnerability, and shared humanity. But if you are an enlightened deity and he is your project, there is no room for connection. The consequences of devaluation are predictable. When a person feels invisible, undervalued, and devalued, they emotionally shut down. This is not punishment, but self-preservation. You cannot pour endlessly from an empty cup. And then she wonders why he has become so cold, even though she has been pushing him away for years. The false belief in self-sacrifice breeds resentment. Many women take on extra functions that no one asked for, and then resent the lack of gratitude, cooking complex meals no one ordered, implementing cleaning systems no one needs, and then feeling like victims. I knew a woman who spent weekends endlessly rearranging furniture, exhausting herself, and then making a scene because no one appreciated her labor. Her husband didn't need the furniture moved. He needed a rested wife, but she invented work to feel important and then hated everyone for that work. Relationships are coexistence, not fusion. You are two individuals who decided to share a life, not one organism. Keep separate interests and friends. Come to each other by choice, not obligation. But many women perceive any independence as betrayal. Fathers are pushed out of parenting when mothers position themselves as the primary parent. The phrase, "father knows best," has been replaced by, "mom knows everything," and children suffer for it. Children need the influence of both parents, but many women usurp parenting while simultaneously complaining that they carry everything on their shoulders. A client's wife undermined every decision he made. He set a bedtime, she changed it. He punished, she cancelled it. And then she complained that he wasn't involved. He stopped trying because trying meant a scandal, and the kids saw their father constantly treated like he was nothing. Emotional regulation in conflict decides everything. Decisions made in anger cause irreparable damage. Words said to hurt cannot be taken back. Learn to pause, breathe, think before answering. But this requires admitting that in the moment you might be wrong, and that hits the ego. We must accept the reality of human imperfection. Everyone comes with baggage, trauma, and flaws. Expecting a perfect partner while being imperfect is delusion. But social media sells perfect relationships, so reality is always disappointing. Choosing reality over fantasy is maturity. True love is not finding an ideal. It is choosing a person whose flaws you can live with. The thirst for recognition is universal. Everyone wants to be valued. When one person monopolizes recognition, denying it to the partner, resentment grows. Marriage requires celebrating each other's victories, not a competition of who suffers more. The danger of the "I'm better than him" mindset is isolation. By positioning yourself as the savior of the relationship, you become its destroyer. No one wants to be married to a person who considers them second-rate. Partnership requires equality, even if roles differ. The cycle of emotional manipulation exhausts everyone. Using tears to win an argument, anger for control, silence for punishment. This is not communication, it is war. And in war, there are casualties. Usually, the casualty is the marriage itself. One woman admitted she cried in arguments not because she was hurt, but because it worked her husband surrendered. When tears stopped working, she moved to threats. When threats stopped working to divorce, she destroyed the family instead of learning to speak directly. Therapeutic responsibility lies with the individual. Your traumas are your task. Your patterns are your responsibility. Expecting a partner to heal you while you remain the same is negligence in relationships. The reality of men's emotional fatigue is ignored. Men also burn out, run empty. But acknowledging this requires acknowledging they have emotional needs, which breaks the stereotype. The distortion by pop psychology has spawned mass paranoia. Every TikTok video makes women diagnose their husbands with disorders and themselves with trauma. Real therapy has been replaced by confirmation bias. The man is always a problem to be solved, not a partner to be understood. Mutual compassion creates true intimacy. When both partners acknowledge each other's humanity and vulnerability, magic happens. But for this, one must abandon the hero and victim fairy tale in favor of the complex reality of two imperfect people. Awareness of emotional cycles prevents fatal decisions. Anger passes, resentment subsides. Making life-changing decisions at the peak of emotions is a guarantee of regrets. Accountability changes everything. Instead of "what is wrong with him?" ask, "what is my contribution to this problem?" Instead of "why doesn't he understand?" ask, "how am I explaining?" This is not self-flagellation, but self-awareness. Practical communication skills solve 80% of problems. Before arguing, clarify. "Did I understand correctly that you meant?" This simple phrase saves families, but it requires humility to admit that you could have misunderstood. Clarity of language prevents chaos. Say what you think. Don't hint. Don't wait for mind reading. But for this, one must abandon the testing mentality, where vagueness is used as a test of his love. Accepting the complexity of a human means accepting contradictions. Your partner will sometimes be generous and sometimes selfish, sometimes loving, sometimes distant. Expecting consistency from another while being inconsistent yourself is hypocrisy. Love is a conscious choice. It is not just a feeling, it is an action. Choosing this person every day, despite their downsides, choosing to stay when leaving, is easier. But choice requires effort, and infantilism waits for an easy reward. The principle of partnership seems simple, but is rarely practiced. Equal does not mean identical. It means equally valuable. Different roles, but the same respect. Different contribution, but the same gratitude. But this threatens the narrative that one gender contributes more. Criticism of romantic euphoria reveals immaturity. Believing that love must always be passion and butterflies is a teenage fantasy. Adult love is quieter, more reliable, deeper. It is the choice to be there in boredom and hardship. But this is not Instagrammable, so it is devalued. Rethinking roles requires balance. Strength is not domination, but mutual support. Both are strong in different ways. Simplicity is wisdom. Most marriage problems are not complex. Show gratitude. Be kind. Speak directly. Take responsibility. These are simple actions that are hard to execute when ego gets in the way. Marriage is not a battlefield where someone must win. It is not therapy where someone is treated. It is shared growth. But this requires seeing the partner as an equal, not a subordinate. Love beyond perfection, that is the truth. Your partner will never be perfect, just like you. This is what many women don't understand about the modern relationship market, which they helped create themselves. When you demand perfection while offering criticism, when you wait for provision while giving contempt in return, when you demand emotional service while refusing support, men adapt. Not by becoming who you want, but by leaving the game. Marriage statistics are falling not because men have gone bad, but because they refuse to play a game they cannot win. The fantasy sold to women, have everything while giving nothing, is a lie. A career without sacrifices, a family without compromises, romance without reciprocity. This is not feminism. This is a utopia. And when reality does not align with the fantasy, women decide the problem is men. I see this damage daily. Successful women aged 30 to 40, with apartments and careers, wonder, where are all the normal men? Normal men are here. They just don't sign unilateral contracts. They saw how divorces destroyed their fathers. They saw their friends turn into ATMs with visitation rights on weekends. They learned the lesson: modern marriage is maximum responsibility with minimum rights. The therapeutic complex has made everything worse. Women are convinced they are always traumatized and deserve endless support. Any problem in the relationship is reformulated as, "He didn't meet my needs." Therapy has turned from healing wounds into validating every complaint. And here is the brutal truth. Many modern women have put a price tag on themselves that the market cannot bear. They want a man who earns more and achieves more, but demand he work less and be home. It's like demanding a Ferrari for the price of a Toyota, and then wondering why the car dealership is empty. The trap of comparison has destroyed realistic expectations. Women see the highlights of others' lives and think this is the norm. They don't see the fights, the routine, and the boredom. They see photos from the Maldives and feel deprived looking at their husband with the TV remote. The devaluation of male contribution has become systemic. Build a career and provide for the family? Pfft, that's the baseline. He has to do that anyway. Fix the house obligated. Provide safety? It goes without saying. But her emotional labor is a revolution, and her household chores are a feat. The books are cooked, and men know it. Especially cruel is the dynamic of moving goalposts. He met one standard, she invented a new one. Earned money now needs to be home. Started being home needs to be more ambitious. Became romantic, you're trying too hard. Gave space, you're cold. The game is unwinnable by design. Emotional burnout in men has reached a critical mass. You cannot eternally hear that you are not good enough and not believe it. Men don't become weak, they become tired. There is a difference between can't and won't, and many men have moved from can't measure up to don't want to even try. Lack of gratitude has destroyed more marriages than infidelity. When efforts are not noticed, they stop. When contribution is taken for granted, it turns into resentment. But gratitude requires acknowledging the value of the other, and this threatens the narrative, "He's lucky to have me." Here is what a sustainable marriage actually looks like. Two people who see each other's contribution, who value each other's sacrifices, who accept each other's limitations, and choose each other daily. Not one demanding service from the other, but two serving each other. Not one fixing the other, but two growing together. The solution is not difficult, but it requires what modern culture opposes: humility. Humility to admit that you are not perfect. Humility to see the partner's contribution. Humility to give what you want to receive. Until women understand that men are partners, not projects. That marriage is an exchange, not resource extraction. That respect flows both ways. There will be no happy marriages. The current model is unviable. Men are leaving in unprecedented numbers. Birth rates are falling. The institution of the family is disintegrating. And the answer to this is still blaming men. This is not about returning to the past. This is about creating something sustainable for the future, where both partners matter. The truth that will save a marriage is simple: reciprocity. Give what you want to receive, value what you get, contribute what you can, accept what you cannot change, choose growth over blame, choose partnership over superiority, choose reality over fantasies, choose love over ego. I want to hear from married people in the comments. What truth does your spouse not understand? And is it destroying your marriage? What would change everything if she simply realized it? Write below, because these conversations must happen before another marriage becomes a victim of impossible expectations. The future of relationships depends on whether both people start behaving like partners. Until this truth is understood, there will be no happy marriages. Want to understand people's real motives, not what society forces on you? Subscribe to Psycheria, psychology that opens eyes, not just soothes. See you in the next video.